Welcome, folks. So I suppose kind of two key objectives for the Kadence Connect calls. The first is very much to bring our community together. So we have been having feedback that customers want to meet each other, share learnings, share the good, the bad, and the ugly around hybrid. And so we want these calls to be the start of Kadence supporting that community, bringing the community together. And then we also want to jump into the product, tips and tricks, features that you might not be using. So every call we do will have a different theme, different part of the product that we're going to deep dive into. So we'll introduce who you've got on the call. And the theme today is really around this question of how your spaces are actually really being used by your employees. And do you have an understanding of that? How we might be able to help you have a better understanding of that. And then we're going to jump into the parts of the product that can help with that question, and bits of the product that you may and may not be aware of, things that are coming. So actually, let me introduce myself first. So I'm Helen, responsible for people and customer experience at Kadence. So I have a really interesting role in that I get to think about Kadence's own people strategy and talk to customers about their people strategy and their hybrid strategy and how those two things come together. So I did just want to say at the top of this that I'm having an increasing number of calls with customers about the how of hybrid. So once you've figured out your how, then Kadence can help you enable it. But we really do want to help you with the how as well. So if you haven't had those kinds of conversations with us, please feel that you can. So yes, product, but also the learnings that we have from our own experiences and the conversations that we have with customers about how to hybrid. So the strategy behind it. So that's me. Stephen?
Thanks, Helen. Hey, I'm Steve with Kadence, the customer experience team, and I've been here for almost 3 years. 3 years here in like a month or two, and it's been an awesome journey. Really have helped, I guess hundreds of clients now get up and running and implemented and consult them along the way. And so, yeah, just a little plug for our CX team. If you don't know who your customer experience manager is, reach out to cx@kadence.co and we'll get you connected.
Awesome. So the person you probably really want to hear from today, Maud, why don't you introduce yourself?
No pressure then. So I'm Maud Santamaria. I mean, this title on the slide it looks incredible, but really I'm the person that takes care of the spaces. So from the lease to is the HVAC working in all of the offices for GWI across the world. We have 5 offices: New York, London, Athens, Prague, Singapore. We all use Kadence, and I would say we use Kadence because I was trying to say I've been 2 years in GWI, but that's pointless. But we have been with Kadence for, I would say, I think it's 4 years now. So
Wow.
so we've been from a long time, and it's working for us and our growth. But I can talk about this as well later.
No, awesome. And yeah, we learn tons from Maud, so we really appreciate that she's spent time with us today. So yeah, can you just help us understand today in your role with your team how you are using data and analytics to understand more about actually what's going on in your office?
Yeah, and I guess it's easy for me, and GWI is also a data research company. So we literally survey people. That's what we do. So I think if the ops team wasn't doing this for their own people, that would be terrible. So I'm very lucky that even if I was doing the data, at least also the person that I need to transcript the data the most, so my CFO or my board, they understand the data is important. And I feel that this is the first critical piece is the workplace and real estate and all of what we do in workplace experience and FM. That has to be with data. Sadly, a lot of people still think is not fluke. but a bit of fluffiness. And I feel like, of course, with Cadence, we know this is not. We still have a long journey to go through. I have to say, me and my team, we pretty on it when it comes to data. We have literally 50 points of data that we gather every month, and we combine this to have a look at our satisfaction, almost the feeling. So the first criteria is the occupancy in the corporate real estate side. So access control and Cadence and the meeting room booking all together. That's kind of one side. But then we will also look at the ticketing system, the visitor management system, if you've got with Cadence, then that's also in one platform. We will look at, we have QR code next to our coffee and our snacks. So you have QR code for satisfaction. We will look also at events that we're doing when we do an event in the office, and then we'll have feedback from that. Oh, the list is a little bit madness, but we feel also that if you only take one of the criteria, it could be a bit misleading. So we feel like when we take all of those criteria, we have a proper understanding of how the office is being used. And then what we do is on an annual basis. So again, monthly, I'm looking into this. So my team monthly needs to deliver this data. Usually, as I said, from Cadence, from the platform, in one go, they can get that. So it's not crazy work, but they need to give it to me every month. And then we also kind of look into how many people are based in each office. So in terms of HR data, because it's fine to kind of have a look at just the access control. And yes, maybe in August, people come less and Christmas time might be a bit less busy. But actually, if you also had a dip into your people list, so maybe you had people that left or you have people that join, I think it's important also to kind of add this to your data. So how many people, and then you can compare per year, how many people were in the office? Let's say you employ 300 people in London, and then next month 350, that may also have an impact on your data. So we try to kind of look at all of this before we fully take a picture. What's critical with this data is that I put it on my customer journey mapping. We all do this, I think, in workplace experience now. That comes from retail. We haven't invented it. We wish we did. But that comes from retails and sales. And effectively, we literally take a person, different person. So it could be a visitor, a GW, an employee, or an employee from another office, or a client, or a VIP, a contractor. And then we take all of those personas and we see what the journey is when they come to the office, all the way to when they decide to come to the office. Are they booking on Cadence? Which platform they use? Are they using with their mobile? Are they using with their laptop? Is it convenient? Are they merging with their team day, and etc.? All the way to, are they attending the event that we have in the evening that day? We have a lot of funky stuff. I don't know, pumpkin carving or whatever, Halloween things. And so I think with all of this journey, then you also can look at the data and see if you have done something different that month. Maybe you did have a lot of events, or maybe you did have a lot of clients coming in. What has impacted? Have the meeting room been booked a lot more? I guess what we're missing, because that would be unfair to kind of say that I've got all of the data in the world, what we're still missing, and that's really at the moment done visually by my team, bless them, is how many people are in my meeting room every time there is a meeting. So we could probably solve this with sensors, to see sensors on people counter or underneath the desk or the actual meeting room, but we just never gone to that extent. So at the moment, I can only see that the meeting room has been booked, and that's probably the bigger piece. But what we've seen, because the team is hands-on and kind of is looking, is that we had an issue, not so much with desk booking. I think desk booking people are fine, and we have enough desks for the number of people we need, relatively across the world as well. But we actually needed a lot more meeting rooms, and that's because our product is growing. We are growing. As I mentioned, we've been with Cadence for 4 years, so we ourselves grow from startup to scale up. We actually have a lot more clients that now come to the office and kind of want to experience the product and our insight. So actually, because of Cadence, because of our meeting room data, and the fact that we've seen how many people use which meeting room, a 4-person, a phone booth, etc., then we've been able to kind of compile this and say, actually, we need more space probably one of the few companies that need this at the moment. We need more space because of this data. So data-led decision, and we are going to look. We're pretty much close to kind of signing up for a much bigger space. And that's because of Kadence data on the fact that we needed a lot more meeting room or a lot more collaboration. And I would push it to say even like client experience room or amphitheater or something like this. So that has been quite incredible, the difference I think that Kadence has done to our data. I would still say that the more you have from any other sources, so as I mentioned, I think the HR data from how many people do work for you in this month, so then you can compare. Because otherwise you just have a percentage, but suddenly if you dropped or you added 50 people, that might false your data. But also maybe your ticketing system from IT, like if you keep on having the same internet issue, and then you see a dip into your attendance or your desk booking, or you may have a link that internet is not working in the office. I'm not coming up, right? So I think this is important as DFM to have as many workplace team, to have as many of those data together per month, so you can have a full understanding of it might just not be the desk booking, or it might not just be because my office is not fully fitted for the purpose. It might be like the meeting rooms, but it could also be that, there's an issue with internet constantly, or the meeting room is never working. So I can't have my meeting with my client. I'm not bringing my client. I'm not booking a desk. So I think this is where our role as FM has probably evolved the most, and tools like Kadence for us and for our team, for our needs is what we use probably the most. And you guys have grown as well, which is probably quite adequate for what we needed as well. So sorry, that was a proper 10 minutes full on.
No, awesome. And by the way, people, please do feel free to put questions in the chat if you have any questions for Maud, and then we can ask her those. But it just struck me that it might be helpful, if you don't mind, to just explain to folks who might not have like a workplace experience function, what it is that how you define that, because you mentioned workplace experience, and it is a subject that I feel like I'm talking about a lot with customers, but just interested in how for you, what does it actually mean? The workplace.
And that's interesting. And this is where usually people will still make the mistake of thinking it's fluffy. It's because the workplace experience is literally creating the happy feelings that you want from your employees. The truth is we are, and this is why the British Institute for Facility Management has changed 5 years ago to Institute of Workplace and Facility Management. It's just a change of title. So we're no longer the people of FM that sit on the basement that nobody sees only when there's a problem. We actually sit in the middle of the office, and we've got on the back, we don't, by the way, but we pretty much could have on the back of our t-shirt, how can I help? So this is basically the team, and creating the happy feeling could be you help somebody ergonomically with their chair, the temperature is the right temperature, the humidity level is the right humidity level, the daylight is optimal, the lighting is optimal. So all of the function of a core workplace, a proper hard FM, like we would say in the past, is included into my team. So I need to take care of the building, but actually now we're taking care of the building for the people that are in this building, which I feel is the major difference. With the added bonus of the workplace has now become this kind of place of community. And that's because of time have changed, families have changed. You work in a much more in a big city probably, so you probably moved away from your family and your friends. So now the office has become, we don't go to church anymore. We don't have, or less to church. So we have less of those community or village place where people could share things, have therapy, have friends, have support. So now the workplace has become this community space where, people want to have this experience. They want to find friends. They want to have purpose. They want to be to have well-being. They want to have, and suddenly the facility manager who was taking care of the building has become this workplace experience person that needs to create this space, right, where you don't have, you can have well-being. So a workplace now that wouldn't provide a well-being strategy would be, I don't think any Gen Z would look into your company, literally. If you don't have events, if you don't have snacks, if you don't have food, if you don't have great coffee, I think it'd be very difficult to attract that generation. So I think this is where we are still a facility management team. We just have a different title because time have changed and required us to change. What happened though is the team may not have changed in terms of skills. So upskilling the team into understanding workplace experience, and this is probably why the question comes often, like what is workplace experience? It's probably very true. I think there's probably a lot of facility managers that now have to find these new skills of workplace experience, and that's not a given. So usually we will take a lot of people from on the team that comes from hospitality, so that really have that customer service, hotel, stuff like this. They will be the one. So I need a bit of both. I need a proper facility manager that understand my HVAC. I need the real estate, hat on when I look at the lease and my portfolio and how my office is used. And I will look for my hospitality team for the experience.
Awesome. That was such a thorough answer. Thank you. I think that's, I need to take this recording and share this with some customers, because I think there's still a little bit of a misunderstanding of the importance of it. And obviously it depends on the size of the organization as to how much some of these things are going to be possible. But yeah, excellent. Thank you. So can you talk a little bit then about how you are using Kadence data, like specifically the Kadence analytics and insights?
Yep.
As part of that understanding of what's going on?
Yep. So I think the major one that we use is the desk booking, because it's very relevant to what we're trying to prove again in terms of the growth that we want to have and how many people book. The second one be the meeting room booking. And I have to say, I cannot wait for the new feature of the automated check-in with our Wi-Fi or NO access control. Because the only thing that we kind of have to push, and I'm sure a lot of people on the call are the same, it's still something that we have to nudge regularly our employees to kind of remember to book. So there's many things that we're using for this. There's the fact that we can encourage the team leads to create team stays, and all of the new feature that has been popped up, I think last year, that has been helpful. It's still kind of a manual things for the people to not only book, but also check in. So the two things as well, this is what my team look at the most: how many people book, how many people checking. And I have to say, every day at 10 a.m., we have a quick look in the office and we send the thing to, let's say, Helen and Stephen have not checked in, but they have booked in and we can see they're here. We just send them a quick thing to say, hey, we've checked you in, just make sure that you remember. Because otherwise, again, we feel like we will have not the correct data for that. But again, this is what we use Kadence the most. And then that meeting room booking, like I said, I think understanding that the meeting room was literally on a 90% capacity on the core days. This is not a GWI thing. This is a worldwide thing, right? So it's Monday, Friday is quiet. Tuesday to Thursday is a lot busier. So on those core days, I have to say the meeting room was on like 90% or 88% utilization on the core hours of 9:30 to 5. So I think this is where we managed to see that we needed to grow, and the business case was a lot easier to achieve as well with the board with data. So that's actually the one that we've seen the most. Interestingly, we've also seen that we have a lot more clients coming in. So that's probably more the visitor management system from Kadence. And the space that we need, or the meeting rooms that we're gonna have to build and have to consider growing up in the next year, is more like a client space, which is also, again, a very different meeting space that you would require, right, in terms of design.
Yeah, we are hearing that a lot too, though. So that's interesting for you to share that yeah, that's a different type of meeting space, but it's one that's really, really needed.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So Stephen, should we jump into some bits of the product that Maud's been referencing? And
Oh, for sure.
I wasn't prompted, by the way. I wasn't prompted. I genuinely use this.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, and I know some of my clients would be interested, so this might be something we take offline, but just the questions that you ask in your survey, because I know that was a big data point that you were just discussing. So yeah, the questions that you ask, and then you had mentioned the QR codes. Was it that you put those in the common areas and that links to the survey as well, so they can give feedback anytime?
Exactly.
And then do you do like a monthly survey on top of that? If anybody hasn't, yeah, I was kind of curious about that.
So we don't do a monthly survey. We have those QR codes that are constant, and every time, because I'm asking the team to have a monthly record of that, and I just stop from the 31st, and then we start again from the 1st. So we'll have a Google, literally a Google form attached to your QR code, and this is more like a proper feeling question, right? So that's a questionnaire to say, do you like the new, I don't know, especially if you put new stacks, do you like the current offering? When we changed the coffee machine, we had a big boom, for example, of responses. Usually we have people that just ask for more stuff or different stuff. Sometimes allergen, which is quite good because you forget some of those. But we don't do a monthly one because we just feel it would be too much. However, our HR does like a very like I think it's 3 questions every 2 months, very quick, like a quick it's more like an ENPS score. So ENPS is just one question is, would you recommend the company, right? So it's just one question. And they add a couple of things as well for the remote versus office, but that's about it. If you do too much, I think people would be a bit like, ugh. But if you do a QR
Yeah.
code, it's literally them on them on trying to kind of give a bit more feedback. And what's important is when they do give a feedback, which sounds crazy, but sometimes they ask for something mental like Kinder Bueno or a very specific brand of snacks, then you kind of have to act upon it as well, right? If you do give a QR code for feedback, we will
Yep.
100% have to say, okay, yes, next month you will have the, whatever brand that they ask. So it's kind of like the price you have to pay for making sure that they do give the feedback.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, my first technology job was working with a survey company, and so that's part of the reason I was extra curious. But the survey, we used to call it survey fatigue, right? If you ask, people are going to be bombarded with questions. Well, thank you. Let me go. I'm going to just do just a really quick highlight of some of the insights, but I also want to give some recommendations for the insights. So if you came into our insights into Kadence, you're going to notice that there's a lot of data points that are focused on the team use and also the neighborhoods. And I know a lot of my customers have just like synced over just one big group. And so some of these insights might be lacking. You might consider talking with your IT team to see if we can sync more groups over so we can break down and slice and dice the data a little more. One of these in particular, if I go down and select a building and actually select the floor itself, you're going to see that when you look at the floor, you get this neighborhood occupancy. And this is another reason why we recommend that you do put every space into a neighborhood. So then you can actually get a little more granular insights. Right now, it's not showing anything that's not grouped into a neighborhood. So I know that we use neighborhoods. A lot of my customers use it for restrictions, right? We're going to restrict this area to only these people. So they make those, I guess, required neighborhoods. But a suggestion would be to go and put everything into a neighborhood. So then when you're looking at this top view, you could see, oh, the west side, or like the kitchen area, like seats by the kitchen are more highly booked. However you could think to slice and dice that would help you track and also audit like the spaces and how they're doing, get a better pulse to help. I mean, this has been really helpful for me to hear like how you're slicing and dicing the data. Just more data points, right? This will give you another data point if everything's in a neighborhood.
Right.
It's also worth noting, and I don't know and this might be something that you can communicate to your end users, because the insights is an admin only section, but on the home screen, every user gets this graph, which is another insight that I think sometimes is looked over. Sometimes people just glance at it, but they don't realize that it's interactable. So I just wanted to call that out. Like, it might be worth doing a communication to your employees. I know everyone on the calls are like they're about to launch or they're going to launch, but just giving supplemental insights to the end users would be really helpful. As we don't message your end users really. We might have a pop-up that pops up to let them know certain things, but right now, just helping your end users know that, like, hey, here's a feature. If you really want to know who's coming in the office, click on this graph. So if I go edit this, I can pick my office. I can switch between it. So any user, if they are curious about, if they're traveling to the Salt Lake office, for example. They could come in here and they could switch that. By default, when you load this, it shows the cadence, the expected, like what's their expected action they're going to be taking or expected place they're going to work. But you can filter this down to only show confirmed bookings as well. And if you do get everybody into multiple teams versus just the one big group that you sync over, then the end user could go filter to the other teams that they belong to. So really empowering your users. I'm going to kind of do an abbreviated just highlights because we're about to have a release. We almost thought the release might come out today. It didn't come out before our webinar, but things that are coming really soon. It's expected this week, next week at the latest. Let me go over to my staging environment. So this isn't available for you right now, but in our next release, you'll be able to go turn on a new functionality, the remote check-in. So this is helping understand, sorry, let me back up. This will help your end users that are working remote, let people know that they're checked in, they're ready to go. You can check in and you can check out. So yeah, the remote status has always been interesting for our clients, like because your colleagues, your employees, they want to let people know that they're working, even though they're remote. They might be offsite, but they're still online. And this will be a functionality that will be helpful. Like, hey, I'm remote, but I'm checked in for the day. So we're not. And this is something that you can turn on or off if you don't think that's going to be useful. We definitely don't want your colleagues or team members feeling like there's more actions than they need to take if it's not going to give them any value. But we do believe, and we've done this, we've been showing this and explaining this to some of our customers, and they believe that this will be another reference for colleagues that are trying to coordinate that will help them coordinate better, right? Like, hey, I'm remote, but I'm checked in, if that makes sense. I'm showing you if I go to the settings and the company where this setting will be, so you will be able to toggle this on or off. And another thing to help your colleagues and your teammates, your friends coordinate is going to be another setting here. That's the office floor plan view. So this will be coming in our next release. You'll be able to toggle the default that you want. So right now, like, let me explain this a little better. If I go to the office screen, it defaults to showing the whole day view. And that's really helpful, like when you're outside of business hours. But during business hours, the live view it helps you to understand what's happening right now, like what's available right now. Are people checked in as of right now? So this new setting will allow you to go in and toggle on if you want to have the live office be the default. So if I go to the live office now, you can see it defaulted to live. Awesome. And then the next update, I guess the last highlight that I really wanted to share is on the home screen, like in the effort, again, to help your teammates coordinate, is this starred colleague view. You can see here on my staging environment that it highlights with a little icon. If I zoom in, it shows that they're working in another place besides their preferred office. So Jared, who's on the call, his preferred office in the staging environment is Boston, but today it's showing, it highlights that he's working in another office in Boston. So it's really meant to help you get a quick view of, hey, who's working from where are my core team, where are they going to be? And we believe that will be a really big benefit. The last thing I just want to mention, I know I mentioned a few things. As far as gathering all these data points, like you can, oh, sorry, I need to zoom out. You can do the exports from the booking. I know that's where a lot of our clients get their data when they slice and dice it. You can export all the bookings. But if you do have a business insights tool that you're using, like if you're throwing your CSVs into a Power BI or a Tableau, we do have an API that can be connected. There's not really much to show you here, because this is just where if you followed our documentation, you'll be able to set it up. But I just wanted to mention that some of our clients, like right from launch, they'll be setting up a data export, like a daily export. So then they can kind of audit the changes as bookings take place. And if you need to explore that more, we do have an API section on our insights. And so if you're curious about what that takes, you can go to help.kadence.co and then type in the API, and you'll see our getting started guide. our team's available, and we'd love to help you if you have any questions about how to get that set up. And I'm gonna pause right there. I know I just covered like 10 things back to back to back. Is there anything that like you think I should clarify, Helen, or anything I should explain in more detail?
I'm interested to see if anybody's got any questions on any of that, or if there was anything else, I suppose, that anybody wanted to dig into or was hoping to hear, given the subject. Feel free to drop something in the chat, or reach out to us later. Like, you know, this is all about you having more and more opportunities as customers to reach out to us, and and to other customers. So looks like nobody's got anything they want to ask. No, I think then it's a wrap. Yeah, Maud, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Good new features as well. Yeah, always good.
Yeah. I since I've come, it feels like they've had a pace of releasing like every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, like definitely tune in to our next call to get the preview. Definitely, like Helen said, we want to build this community, and so yeah, we really appreciate you, Maud, helping get the conversation started. I'm sure there's people that are just going to be brainstorming about you said and reaching out. So we may have more questions for you about how you're slicing and dicing all
No,
these.
it's lovely that you put us together, by the way. So yeah, I'm always happy to be reached out and share how people use Kadence. And there's some things we probably don't share as much or don't use as much on Kadence yet, especially the events and the announcements. So we are about to, but if anybody has as well, I'm always keen to know. So equally, I want to know. Yeah. Thank you for putting us together.
Great. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. And the same for those that are listening to the recording. Please just get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.